Hey everybody, we're here in Stephenville, Texas doing a clinic, and yesterday we were talking about just kind of diving into a little bit of the physiology and locomotive aspects of horses, and they wanted me to mention it again so we could film it for all you guys. But a couple of the things we talked about was the load-bearing system of a horse. So like, if you imagine a suspension bridge, right, and it has a leg on each end, okay, well, if you say it has a little bit of a sag in it, that bridge does, and then you push down in the center, it's going to sag even more, and it's going to stretch the bridge, right? Okay, well, imagine that bridge is your horse's back, and the two pillars on the front and back are his front legs and his hind legs. So when they talk about a horse's back being hollow, the reason that's bad is because it's like pushing down in the middle, causing a sag. So when a horse, when it's like that, all of the horse's weight and the rider's weight, his muscular system is what's bearing all of the weight of the rider. And when he does a maneuver, it's all putting the weight on the muscular system. But when his back is neutral or has a little bit of roundness to it, just like a bridge that's an arch, if you push down in the middle, the weight transfers to each end of those pillars, to his legs. So it will put the load on his skeletal system. So like if a horse is going around with a high head and it's causing his back to get hollow, the reason that's bad, one of the reasons is because, for one, he can't travel, optimally and be efficient. But a lot of it is because it puts the load on his muscular system. A couple other things that we talked about was we talked a little bit about collection. So when a horse is collected, another word for that is straightness, but not as in a straight line. Straightness meaning that he's evenly loaded, meaning there's 25% of his weight on each foot. So naturally, every horse, except for Morgans and Andalusians, are naturally come out with about 15 to 20% of their additional weight automatically on their front end. So technically, every horse is front-endy. And the goal in any kind of discipline is to get the horse to take that additional 15% and shift that weight rearward and then travel forward while keeping the weight rearward. So that's what collection is when he takes that additional weight, puts it on his hind feet, and then moves forward. So, just about every horse, when they back up or when they kind of come down to stop, they're briefly hitting a moment of collection. But where it gets really, really fancy is if you can get them to keep that weight redistributed to the hind feet and then travel forward. But see, when he's evenly loaded, when there's just as much weight on the hinds as there is the front, he's at a place of equal momentum, meaning he can move to the left just as quickly and lightly and easily as he can move to the right, and he can go forward as easy as he can go back. And that's why dressage horses can do all those amazing, beautiful things, is because they got him to where he redistributes his weight, and it makes him where he's at equilibrium. So it frees up the feet to freely move, and that's what real collection is. Now you hear about people talking about you need to get him to raise his withers around his back. So their withers are suspended by tendons, kind of hanging down like this in like a V. And a horse can physically suck his withers up between his shoulder blades. So when a horse raises his withers, it allows him to step his hind feet up underneath his body even a little bit deeper to help the process of the even loading even more. And then the arch coming into the neck, and the back getting round and the face coming onto the vertical, those are all results from collection. A lot of people think those are the things that cause collection, but you can have a horse going around with a round back and a face on the vertical, and he's still got most of his weight on his front end. Likewise, you can have a horse that's collected, but his head looks completely natural. What else? What were some other things that we talked about yesterday as far as that fancier stuff? Like doing transitions, which are kind of like half halts. Doing transitions where you speed up, slow down, walk 3 steps, go slow, walk 2 steps, lope 4, trot for 3, walk for 2, lope for 6. You're constantly having the horse do like this. When he slows down, he's kind of doing like this. When he speeds up, he's driving from the hind, so you're strengthening the muscles One thing we talked about was me personally, my right leg is stronger than my left leg. So when I kneel down, I always subconsciously do it in a way that allows me to use my right leg to come back up. So when you're doing these exercises, particularly lateral movements, because that's what really builds the muscles for correct carriage and good footfall patterns and all that. But when you're doing these exercises to build it, you're trying to build the right muscles so the horse will start to use those more and more. So everything that has muscles, they will use the ones that are strongest. So you hear about the hollow side and the long side of a horse. You're really riding two horses, and you're trying to keep the muscling even on both sides so he doesn't start going around crooked. But you're also trying to always ride in such a way that allows him to start using the muscles that are needed for optimal balance and self-carriage. So if you just keep on riding correctly and doing some lateral movements and get your transitions really good and light, and do all the stuff that we all do with our horses, if you get where you get that stuff really good, you're going to start building the correct muscles, and he's going to start using those more because they are the strongest. So a lot of that stuff is not about, I gotta make him collect, you get him where he's strong in the right areas, and he will start to self-balance more or less. So that's kind of a good thing to think about when you're riding around. So I hope that helps you guys out.